It's happening again, but this time it seems to be a little more serious because it involves the end of the semester, a strike by faculty, by adjuncts, full-time, and postgrads at Rutgers University in New Jersey, or the State University of New Jersey, threatening about 70,000 students as they try to finish up the semester, the academic year.
Today begins day 3 of the faculty strike at Rutgers University. About 9,000 full and part-time workers, professors, etc., walked off the job Monday over many issues. The biggest is pay.
Now, the negotiations have been going on for almost a year, but the strike just started a few days ago. And by the time I get this out on YouTube, the strike could be over. But there are things that we can learn about what's worth fighting over in higher education today, especially for adjuncts and those on the margins of higher ed, that we can learn from the strike at Rutgers University.
But both sides still haven't reached an agreement.
You know, it's one thing to strike at the beginning of a semester like the University of Illinois at Chicago did, when you have the rest of the semester to make up for lost time. But it's when you strike with just weeks left in the semester that puts the entire student body at risk. What's important beyond the details of almost 1 year of negotiating with the university to increase compensation and adjunct issues, always a problem, is the increased union strike efforts now impacting 5 higher ed institutions. So let's take a look at Rutgers, what's happening there now, what we can learn from it, and how it may change our future in higher education today. So tap the like button and let's look. Hi, I'm James Callahan, and this is The Do-Over Show, and I have spent most of my professional career within or on the margins of higher education, and also trying to help you and others like you find their place in higher education, a place that is realistic and rewarding. And I've had a lot of conversations lately and comments left on my other videos about higher education where people have continued to push and raise the issue of what are we going to do about the problems of adjuncts, their compensation, their life, how much they want out of being an adjunct, and whether or not there's a future for them. And frustrated enough with the failure to move the needle on what's happening to adjuncts in higher education. And then you put those of us in higher education who are perfectly comfortable with labor and union and social justice issues. You put us right there and we're very comfortable wondering, I wonder what a union can do for all of us. And we want our turn. We want our slice of the cake or pie. I prefer pie. What do you prefer? Thousands of instructors at Rutgers University joined a national surge in union activity, becoming the 5th currently active strike on college campuses, according to the Chronicle of Higher Education. Now, Rutgers currently has 3 different unions representing about 9,000 union members from 3 different representative groups: full-time faculty, grad workers, and postdoctoral associates. That's the first group. Rutgers Adjunct Faculty Union for part-time lecturers, second group, and the biomed and health science staff at medical, dental, nursing, and public health schools. Now, New Jersey as a state doesn't prohibit public sector unions from striking like some states do, but there have been threats by the university president, and then Governor Murphy stepped in and said, whoa, don't go there yet. Let's see if we can continue to negotiate.
New Jersey's Governor Phil Murphy is helping to broker talks.
At the heart of this strike is a power struggle, and there's a timing that really amps up the pressure on both administrators and faculty to try to get this done. It's a great tactic if you're a striking union. So at the heart of the issue is this question about who owns the university. And according to a statement by the unions, well, we are the university. The striking unions at Rutgers say, by exercising our right to withhold our labor, we will prove to the administration that we are the university. But if we actually look at the legal structure of colleges and universities, public and private, undergrad and grad throughout the United States today, this is just, I don't know, spitting into the wind. I tried to use a polite way of saying it. But quite frankly, this power struggle, it's the board of trustees who really control the purse strings, the hiring, the firing, the tenure, the retention, and the compensation structure of every and all colleges and universities in the U.S. today. So at the heart of the matter at Rutgers are these issues. First of all, money, then some job security for adjuncts, and did I mention money? Yeah, those are the issues that the union outlines at Rutgers. The complaint is that top administrators make so much while lower level administrators, counselors, grad students, and part-timers, adjuncts, have to work 2 or 3 jobs to get by. So how much do full-time professors and adjuncts make at Rutgers today? Well, today, if they weren't on strike, that is, because there's a question about whether or not they're going to be paid. Here are the details according to the National Center for Educational Statistics. And remember, Rutgers is a public university, so all the salaries are public. You can actually look up individual professors. According to this National Center for Educational Statistics, gosh, I can't say that word, the average professor, full professor, makes about $161,000 a year, well, in 2021. The average assistant made about $84,000. That's almost half. The average associate professor made $106,000. Okay. Faculty members classified as lecturers made an average of $65,000, and instructors made an average of $61,000 in 2021. But adjunct members are paid by credit hour. So if they teach a 2, 3, or 4 credit hour course, that's what they get paid by. Under a contract that expired last summer that they're negotiating, they got a base rate of $5,799 per 3 credit course at the end of that last contract. Some could earn $7,234, those are the senior adjuncts, and a part-time lecturer teaching 7 3-credit hour courses at the rates under the last contract would make about $41,000. Okay, the request and the back and forth at the university they've actually come pretty close. Even though they don't want to admit it, they are not that far apart. In addition to more money for everyone, 20% for those making $161,000 and adjuncts making $57.99. By the way, what's the difference between 20% of $161,000 and 20% of $5,799? Try $32,200 for full-time professors. That's what they're seeking over a few years, increase of 20%. And adjuncts would get $1,160. So if adjunct teaches 7 courses a year, and that's apparently a possibility at Rutgers, although I haven't read the adjunct union contract that expired last year, so I doubt that it's true because most schools put a cap on the number of courses adjuncts can teach. But nonetheless, a local newspaper did the math and estimates that if they taught 7 courses like this, they'd make about $41,000 a year, and a 20% increase would mean they would make $8,200 more, so almost $50,000 a year, teaching 7 courses as a full-time adjunct instructor at Rutgers University. Now, there's some back and forth about the union's request and the university's proposal, but the outline all seems to be about money. Now, this is unlike other ongoing strikes and strikes earlier this academic year at other colleges and universities, where most of those strikes were prompted by trustees and administrators trying to grab back control over tenure and post-tenure review to bounce, basically, to fire or not retain those who had received job security and tenure because they underperformed or they just complained too much about the university that was paying their paycheck. And the administrators and the trustees wanted an easier way to get rid of them, the dead weight or the problems that they face in complaining faculty. So the Rutgers story being about money is actually rather refreshing. Okay, now about the improved condition that the union is seeking for adjuncts. The union is asking for multi-year contracts, as in the kind of job security afforded to tenured and tenure-track faculty. This one, if it wins, this one could shift the balance of power in the adjunct sphere. And it's the only thing on the radar today that makes a difference beyond just a little bump in salary for teaching a course. The unions say they want multi-year contracts for part-time lecturers, a campus-wide minimum wage of $15 that would also apply to students, for Rutgers to end the practice of withholding transcripts when students owe certain fees, and for Rutgers to freeze rent on all housing it manages. So they want some caps that would benefit student life as well. All of these proposals from the 3 unions represent a multi-$100 million budget increase at Rutgers. And that's where the university draws the line. It's just too much, they say. So what do we learn from the Rutgers strike? Well, first, unions are using strikes to address all faculty compensation and retention issues, and adjuncts are not treated to anything more than a similar percentage of the pay increases. That is, there hasn't been a solely adjunct strike, even though adjuncts teach more than half the courses at most of the schools in colleges and universities across the United States. because adjuncts are not in a position to withdraw and have very little power on campus, there isn't a unique union strike that has addressed solely these adjunct issues or in isolation from trying to give everybody more money. That is, adjuncts are not a high-powered bargaining chip for existing unions, although they are always included. Second, the adjunct union wants pay to be matched to the cost of living in the area. So in rural America, it may be around $2,000 for a semester course, while in urban areas, it could approach $7,000 to $10,000 per course in those highly populated, expensive urban areas. The alternative is to make adjunct pay a prorated version of the average professor's pay divided by the number of courses they teach. And that would be, what can the school get? The things going on now is that the school will not employ a full-time professor because it will cost $80,000, $100,000, $150,000. Instead, they'll apply a couple or 5, 6, maybe even 7 different adjunct instructors, and they'll pay a fraction of what they would have to pay one tenure track or tenured professor to teach the same number of courses. So they're making money or saving money by relying on adjuncts, so heavily relying on adjuncts. And that's why there's so many adjunct positions and so many courses taught in higher ed today taught by adjuncts. The third thing we can learn from the Rutgers strike is the transparency and aggressiveness that is possible when the transparency is obvious. And the 3 unions involved have leveraged this transparency to their own advantage. Because Rutgers is a public institution and all the money is open, here's the pledge card that they produced by the union, for example, about their demands during this strike. We demand equal pay, equal work, fair salary, job security for all, guaranteed grad funding and support, control over scheduling, affordable housing for student members and committees, and 1 faculty union. But then when it goes on to sort of dig the knife in, it talks about a report that was issued by the American Association of University Professors about budget advances during the era of pandemic, during 2021, that they have non-restricted assets, and those assets were at $5.83 million, but then they jumped to almost $820 million in 2021. That is, the union is saying, because we know how much money you have the ability to do something with this money, but you are unwilling to actually spend it on the labor that provides for the education that Rutgers is supposedly providing. So by calling out the financial reserves of the university, which is, again, under the control of the trustees, the unions are making a financial case, not just a moral virtue or signaling case, not just a bleeding heart appeal. That is, they've got some leverage with this kind of transparency. That's a clue. If you want to get leverage, you need financial transparency at the school. Getting access to it is almost impossible at private institutions. Public institutions, congratulations, take advantage of it. So let's see what happens with what's unfolding at Rutgers, and who knows, it could be over by the time I finish making this video. But what we can learn and what we can observe about what impacts all of us in higher education and where we want to see the future of higher education go and what our future might be in higher education. So let's pay attention, and let's see if we can come back with some results that actually benefit someone like you. And thanks for being part of the Do-Over Show. Please, could you tap the like button? Because it really helps an adjunct like me. And while you're down there, how about you subscribe and ring the notifications bell so you don't miss the next episode and hopefully an update about what happens at Rutgers. I'm so glad you found me and I found you. Thanks.